I am privileged to release this beautiful book by Sri Sugata Srinivasaraju. Respected Honorable Sri Deve Gowda ji, esteemed Sri Yuth Chiranjeev Singh, Meenakshi Sundaram, B.L. Shankar, author Sri Sugata Srinivasaraju, publishers, Penguin Random House, and esteemed audience, and the publishers of the esteemed publication. I am deeply sensible of the honor of this invitation to launch Furrows in the Field, a biography of an eminent Indian and the pride of Kannadigas, the former Prime Minister Sri Deve Gowda. The biographer Sri Srinivasaraju has earned the gratitude of the Kannadigas for placing on record the single-handed achievements of this rare and gifted man whose passionate commitment to the cause of the humble farmers of this land has indeed been the companion of his soul. In a shining expression of gratitude, the Punjab farmers named one of their exotic paddy saints as Deve Gowda paddy. Sri Deve Gowda is an obvious and preeminent choice for a biography. Sugata's impeccable credentials as a learned and discerning and a fiercely independent journalist adds a new dimension to the purpose of this inquiry, which comes after a quarter of a century of Deve Gowda's prime ministership. Every worthy biography has a message. To me, what Sugata desires to convey is relevant in the context of the traditions of democracy in India. Faith in democracy is really faith in its institutions. It is well known that when India declared its intention to adopt the republican model of parliamentary democracy with universal adult franchise, the Western world was cynical of its success. How can, they doubted, 300 million illiterate people successfully operate the sophisticated system of modern parliamentary democracy? The same Western press 60 years later said Indian democracy was robust, but the rowdiest. This is a tribute to the innate, uncommon wisdom of the common man. It was once said by an eminent political leader that he would rather trust to the foolishness of 300 million people than the wisdom of 5 judges. But that faith in the wisdom of the electorate is now waning. If one looks at the lamentable state in public life, it becomes evident that in a democracy, people do not get a better government than they deserve. We do not have any others to blame except ourselves for the hopeless mess we have created for ourselves, ourselves and in our public institutions. The underlying theme of this book that Sugata seeks to convey seems to my mind to be the need to look at the strengths and weaknesses of Indian democracy. It can even be held to ransom, and that even individuals can sabotage the democratic urge and spirit. The story of Indian democracy, its strengths and weaknesses, is illustrated through the political career of a humble farmer who rose to great heights by his brilliant comprehension of the controlling forces and their intelligent management. Deve Gowda's genial, friendly exterior conceals a strong, determined mind inside that by its own self-assurance can take on any challenge. The emergence of Deve Gowda as Prime Minister of the country and the unfortunate and unhappy way his tenure was cut short signify both the strength and weakness of our political system. Here was a man without any aristocratic political background or family inheritance or status who became Prime Minister of the world's largest democracy. But the way it was cut short is again the exasperation of Indian democracy that points to the perils of a fragile hope. That short period tossed up a commendable record of efficient administration. Deve Gowda, as Prime Minister, chose some of the best bureaucrats in the Prime Minister's Secretariat. One of them, Sri Meenakshi Sundaram, is with us here. The late Sri Satish Chandra was another administrator of extraordinary talent and competence. The Delhi Metro is another shining example of Deve Gowda's vision of the future. Though agriculture and farmers' welfare were and are still his all-consuming passion. The impetus of the restoration and resurgence of democratic institutions in Jammu and Kashmir have the imprint of Deve Gowda and his commitment to democratic values. It is often said that cure for the ills of democracy is more democracy. One of the political personalities of Kashmir politics, Mr. Saifuddin Soos, said something worth quoting. I want to tell you one thing, he said, which only I can tell you. This Prime Minister created a situation of hope in Jammu and Kashmir state. He went to Jammu and Kashmir 4 times. For 6 years, nobody went to Kashmir. You're all the time saying Jammu and Kashmir state is an integral part of India. Yes, it is. But why did the previous Prime Minister not go there? Sri Narasimha Rao was the Prime Minister for 5 years. Sri Chandrasekhar got a short stint and he could not go, nor could VP Singh go. But Sri Deve Gowda went to Jammu and Kashmir state 4 times, and he created this situation of hope and understanding there. This biography comes up at a time when the whole world is in a flux, not to mention the catastrophic pandemic. Strength of a nation to survive and prevail stems from the innate character of its people. The highest office in a republic is said to be that of the citizen. The prime duty of the state is to promote the intelligence of citizenship. Government is a potent teacher. It teaches by its own example. Irresponsible, indecorous, vituperatory, and even vulgar political debate debases democratic sentiments and make people cynical. People lose trust in their government and their values. In science, it is said that intense interaction of nuclear energy creates a critical mass. Similarly, a negative social critical mass is generated by irresponsible and indecorous political behavior, which can create distrust in the democratic process. It generates cynicism, which is the power of destruction. It takes away all the bright colors of national life and its constitutional symbols and institutions. Dr. Ambedkar cautioned against such violent agitational movements to achieve economic and political ends. Trust of the people in government is the most important single factor. The great Chinese philosopher Confucius told his disciple Che Kung that all the 3 essentials of government, food, military equipment, and faith of the people in the rulers, the faith of the people is the single most indispensable element. Studies show that in 1985, 73% of Americans trusted the federal government decisions most of the time. By 2019, the number fell to just 19%. Let us look at the figures as to people's view of the Supreme Court in the United States. Studies show that in 1985, 62% of the Americans had a favorable view of their Supreme Court. Fortunately, the figure remained the same in 2019. See the beautiful book, The Authority of the Court and the Perils of Politics, by a Supreme Court judge of the United States, Stephen Breyer. It's a Harvard University Press publication. That today's country's leaders need the wisdom to anticipate the enormous opportunities and challenges of the exploits of technology and prepare the next generation for them. The shrill, acrimonious political diatribe is not the answer to the imminent challenges. Sober, constructive, and creative early responses are the answer. India needs to create something like 30,000 new jobs every day. Half of the existing jobs are at the risk of imminent automation. Small traders and small farmers need protection. It is politically immoral to use them as potential vote bank. The existing economic structure enables only 10% of the people to benefit from it. The present deepening crisis is serious. But then it is said, crisis is a terrible thing to waste. Crisis is a terrible thing to waste. You could learn from them. This biography brings out the uncommon talents of this friendly, gentle, common man. He has, by his broad, eclectic culture and friendly disposition, transcended the divisive forces in society. Deve Gowda started his political career with his elected membership of the Unexplored Taluk board. The Prime Minister's chair was nowhere in his vision or reckoning. Sugata tells us the emotional story when, as Prime Minister-elect, Deve Gowda stood near the Prime Minister's chair and was overwhelmed by emotion. Sugata describes that emotional moment when he did stand near the chair 44 years after he had entered politics. He was overcome by emotion. When he entered the Prime Minister's parliamentary office for the first time and was led to his chair, he saw a tiny metal strip on it with Nehru's name. And the years he had governed India was mentioned. He froze for a few seconds. His eyes welled up. Even as officers began to wonder about his hesitation, he did a quick namaste and sat down. Not the weight of history that he experienced at that moment, but strangely the overwhelming burden of the blessings. May Sri Deve Gowda live a long and happy life to serve the country and the people he loves so much. With this good wish, I launched this beautiful book. The publishers deserve our thankful congratulations. I thank you all for your patience.